Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eleanor and today I'm going to do the mid-year book Freakout tag 2020. This tag was originally created back in 2011 and I will leave the channels below of the two people who created this channel because one of them has posted their 2020 video. I'll also leave the questions linked below as well, so please check out those channels. The first question is the best book you've read so far in 2020, and that has to go to A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I think you're probably sick of hearing me talk about this Wayfarer series, and I'm sorry, it comes up quite a few times in these questions. This is the second book in this series, and I loved it. I really enjoy this world. It's slow moving science fiction, it's about the people, it's about the characters, it's about humanity in a weird way because obviously there's other alien species, but it's just about relationships and people being people and just living, and I thoroughly enjoy this world. So this is the best book I've read so far in 2020. And following on from that, the second question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2020. Technically, A Closed and Common Orbit could count for that because it's the second book, but I'll pick the third one, Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers. This is the third in the Wayfarer series, and again, absolutely loved it. I cannot recommend this series highly enough. The next question is a new release that you haven't read yet but really want to get to, and that goes to The Secret Commonwealth, the second book of Dust by Philip Pullman. This is part of his Dark Materials series and is a sequel to that series, so it's following a grown-up Lyra in Oxford. This was first published in October 2019 and I haven't read it yet. It's a huge book. I do know it is quite political and they aren't usually books that I'm that interested in reading, but I do love this world and I do want to get to this at some point, so hopefully the second half of this year I'll make the time for this massive brick. And the next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I don't really read that current. I read mostly backdated books. There's a couple of series that I am watching and I do buy them as soon as they're out, but very few and far between. I mostly read backdated books, but there is one book and it's The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry, and that's due out in October 2020. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I love Christina Henry's books. She writes quite horror and like fairy tale retelling stories, and I'm eager to read The Ghost Tree when it comes out. The next question is what was your most disappointing read so far of 2020, and for me that was Foundation by Isaac Asimov. I really love sci-fi and I have enjoyed reading classic sci-fi, and this is a classic sci-fi series and this is the first book, and there's many sequels and prequels to this world. I thought it was a really intriguing concept. I just found the execution lacking, and that might just be because it wasn't my cup of tea, or it might just be the writing style didn't mesh well with me because it was written so long ago. It's very political, and as I've said before, I don't usually mesh well with really political books. This wasn't following the common person on an adventure, this was following all the higher ups who were making decisions. I didn't like how everything just seemed to happen really smoothly. There was an element of knowing what the future was going to hold and how things were going to play out, and it just all seemed far too convenient. And I have a whole video talking about my actual thoughts on this story and why I won't be continuing on, just because this just didn't work for me. And the next question is your biggest surprise that you've read in 2020, and for me that was Women of the Dunes by Sarah Main. This isn't a book I would ever think to pick up in a million years. It's fiction with a bit of romance, and that's not something I ever pick up. It is set up in Scotland in Ulness, and it's following a young archaeologist as she uncovers an archaeological site and there's someone's been found dead. So it's a bit of a murder mystery. It's set in two timelines, it's got a bit of folklore in it, and it's just full of really lovely characters. They have really nice relationships, and I found it just a really interesting and lovely story. It's not really something I would ever think to pick up, but because it's set in Scotland, I thought I would give it a go because I'm Scottish and I'm always eager to try and read more work from where I am from. And this really worked for me, which was a huge surprise. The next question is your favourite new author. So this can either be a debut author or just new to you. And for me, that was Ian Banks. I read Transition by Ian Banks this year, and he is a huge writer of science fiction. and this is one of his standalones, and it was highly recommended to me by my boyfriend, so I got out and read it and I loved it. I've only read one book by Ian Banks, but this has made me really want to read more, and I'm interested in picking up some more of his standalones before perhaps trying some of his longer series that have many, many books and span an awful lot. So I'm really excited knowing that there's many Ian Banks books out there that I have yet to read. So I'm looking forward in the coming months and year to get to more of his books. The next question I'm just going to kind of skip over because it's your newest fictional crush, and I don't have one. Out of any of the books I've read so far this year, I don't have any fictional crushes on any of them. A few of the books I've read this year are rereads, and all the rest of them aren't really stories that would lend themselves to favourable characters for you to have a crush on, at least in my opinion, or any that I've found. So I'm just going to skip over that question and go straight on to the next question, which is your newest favourite character. For me, this was Adrian, I think is how you pronounce it, who is an astronaut in Becky Chambers' To Be Taught If Fortunate. This is a very short novella, and I absolutely loved this story, and I really thought Adrian was a really interesting character. She has a brilliant character arc, and the way this story is told is just really well done. And I just think I really like astronauts, so yeah. The next question is a book that made you cry. Now, this is a book I haven't quite finished reading yet, and I've been listening to it on audiobook, and it's called Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Peffer. This is a kind of apocalyptic story, but it follows the characters right from the very beginning. So the moon gets knocked out of orbit, it moves a bit closer to the earth, and natural disasters are happening left, right and centre. And the story is told from a young girl who is experiencing this all firsthand, and she likes to write in a diary. So it's diary entries, and it's all very close and personal and very confronting. And I don't know if it's just because I'm listening to an audiobook, it's very moving and very emotional, and it just cuts you deep because you can imagine being in that situation, living in such close quarters with your family, running out of food, running out of water, people around you are dying, and it's just really upsetting. And I do quite like reading dystopian, I do like reading things like that, but it's different reading it in a kind of diary format, very first person. You're in her head and in her experiences with her. I'm very close to finishing this book, but I've already shed a tear or two with some scenes earlier on in the story. And the next question, to follow on from that, is a book that made you happy this year. And again, lots of repetition with this author and these books, is To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. Again, I already said it's a short novella following astronauts who go deep space flight and are looking at different worlds. It's very scientific, it's very technical, and it's beautiful. This made me so happy. I love reading about space travel and astronauts and the discovery of other worlds. I just think it's so well done. The next question is, what is the most beautiful books you've bought or received this year? And for the final time in this video, I'm going to mention the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I didn't receive all of these this year. I didn't buy all of these this year. I didn't buy this first one, but I think this series in general, the covers are just really, really beautiful. Like, I really, really love the design of them, and I think they're stunning. So that's the last time I'll mention that series in this video. And the next question is, what are books that you need to read by the end of this year? Now, these are both sequels that I have been meaning to get to for quite a while, and I just haven't yet. And the first one is The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden, which is the third and final book in the Winter Night trilogy, the first book being The Bear and the Nightingale. I have been meaning to get to this for quite a while. I really enjoyed the series, but it is quite slow paced, and I do struggle with slow paced books. So even though I'm loving the story and loving the world, it's just not what I've been in the mood for lately. And it's set in the depths of Russia, usually in winter time. So it's maybe something that I'll wait closer to the end of the year to read when it's closer to winter, and I'll be more in the mood to read it. And the next book is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, and I really, really enjoyed the first book. The world building is fantastic, the characters are brilliant, the stakes are high, it's just really, really clever. I love the magic system, and the first book ends on such a cliffhanger, at such a high note, and you're finally beginning to puzzle things out, and there's other questions you still have. Even though I love the first book, I don't know why. I think I needed a wee bit of a break, but I do really want to get to the second book and then the third one and finish the trilogy. And there's a lot of other books by N.K. Jemisin that I really want to read because her fantasy writing is exceptional. Final question, question 13 is who is your favourite booktube community member? And I have two I want to mention. The first one is Steph from Steph Loves. I really enjoy her channel. She reads a lot of, quite widely, she reads a lot of fiction and a lot of fantasy and a lot of contemporary. And I really enjoy how she does her vlogs and how she talks about her books, and I just really love her channel. So I'll leave her linked below. She's a smaller channel as well. I think she's got 700 odd subscribers. So go show your support. And the next person whose channel I love is Emma by Drinking by Myself. Her channel is more popular, but I love her reading challenges that she does and the videos she does with her family and her sister. They're so clever and they're so much fun, and I really enjoy her content. We don't really have the same kind of reading tastes. There isn't many, if any, books of hers that she recommends that I will ever pick up because she doesn't really like science fiction or fantasy or anything like that. So it's quite funny that I really enjoy her videos, but I do. So I would totally recommend both those channels, and I'll leave them linked below. And there you have it. This was my mid-year book freakout tag for 2020. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!